Get my 6. And mine too. What's up, everybody? Good evening. If my face looks like it's burnt like a lobster, it's because it is. And if I look as if I'm kind of exhausted, it's because I am. So today, me and my beautiful bride Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, and our son, and a handful of our very good, wonderful, bestest friends, went to the UVA football game here in Charlottesville. And it was an early game. It was 11 a.m. game. It's like so early. Of course, we showed up at 9 to tailgate some. We were in the sun all day. It wasn't hot per se. It was like mid-70s, but it was clear and we were in the sun all day. So UVA, the good news is UVA won, unless you're from Illinois. We beat the University of Illinois. We were favored to win by 10. We won by 27, 42-14, I believe it was. Great game. Team did well. Shout out to our friends Will. Thanks for the tickets. Lonnie, Mike, Trainer. Thanks for letting us come with you. They were going. They actually invited us to go with them. They had some tickets. It was Military Appreciation Day. And it was great. There was a flyover. At the beginning, the band came out and made a beautiful performance. And at the end, when they were doing the national anthem, the UVA choir was singing the national anthem. And 2 fighter jets did a flyover. It was awesome. It was so awesome. And then we kicked the crap out of Illinois. Just like, last week we were favored to beat William and Mary by 33. We beat them by 43. So UVA's off to a good year. A couple folks watching live down in the Blacksburg area. They're saying Virginia Tech's going to get us this year. I don't think it's going to happen, So anyway, here we are. I'm exhausted. I really am. I mean, we came home, we ate, I've taken a shower, and I'm kind of waiting for the sun to go down so I can go to bed. I mean, I'm just beat, So I'm going to be a little bit lazy here today in this video. I'm not going to be super creative or drum up some story from eons ago. I'm going to read you a story. I'm just going to read you a story from Bigfoot Sasquatch Files, Anthology 1, Volumes 1 through 10. The single biggest collection of Bigfoot Sasquatch short stories in the history of literature. Written by this guy. Available on Etsy, of course. Links in the description box below with an autograph. And look, this magnet, you guys probably saw this from the video yesterday. You can get these on Etsy too. This is a refrigerator magnet. I use this to mark my spot because I had one of these downstairs where this book was. I was too tired to walk upstairs to my office to get a bookmark, so I used a magnet. Now, this is a story that comes from Bigfoot Sasquatch Files Volume 6, titled Bigfoot Sasquatch Saves the World. A lot of this story will make more sense to those of you who read Isle of Capri, because we have a couple of recurrent characters. It's told in first person, but I'm not saying it's me as far as being like, a character in the story. But there's a character that we thought was dead as of the end of the Isle of Capri. But let's just say when you work for certain agencies, you never die. They just make it look like you do over and over and over. All right, so here we go. And of course, get my 6. Watch for movement back here. I've set up at a slightly different angle because the sun's going down. And back here behind the woodpile, you can actually see a considerable distance back into the woods. Like this thing right up here. Keep your eyes on it. See if it moves. That's actually about 200 yards away. So watch diligently. Bigfoot Sasquatch Saves the World. Okay, so I'm pretty open with my life on our YouTube channel, Homesteading Off the Grid. Maybe I am the main character in this story. I'm open with my daily affairs, many of which are same old, and honestly, becoming boring. Splitting wood, mowing grass, growing weed gardens. No, not that kind of weed. And they're meant to be vegetable gardens, but if you miss a few days straight of weeding, the weeds get the better of you. And we have a tendency to miss a few weeks straight every year, so come harvest time, we're wading chest-high in weeds looking for vegetables. It's much like an Easter egg hunt. Oh, and going around in the woods and meadows behind our house looking for him, her, it, or they. And I've been pretty open with much of my past, mostly by way of writing about it in my novels under the guise of fiction, especially all those down and out years in the Philippines. How did you go from being a batshit crazy drunk, down and out disabled vet in the Philippines to an upper middle class Virginia landowner just outside of Charlottesville? People often ask. Why, I begin in response, by never giving up. I focused on my writing, and in time I got good at it. Eventually I got on the map and the money started coming in, and we were able to leave the jungle and get back to the city. And a couple of years after that, we were able to come to the U.S. and, well, things were going so well that we were able to buy a house on 6 acres out in the country just outside of Charlottesville. And, well, I say, just like I started with, everything just worked out. There seems to be some holes in your story, the most astute of naysayers would say. How so, I'll ask, when they do. How did you survive, they'll say, during those down and out years, as you call them? I mean, you had to be making money somehow, at least enough to sustain yourself and your beautiful bride, as you call her, and your son. How did you do it? And thank you, by the way, Bill Poole in Pittsburgh, for this shirt. At this point, I don't plead the fifth. But I come close. I refer my examiner to my novel Isle of Capri, which I just mentioned, and I say to them, good luck figuring out which part of the story is fact and which part is fiction. And I've said this on this channel a million times. At this point, I'll get a look of confusion. However, I get no further questioning because the people who tend to make it this far along in their inquisition do have half a brain cell or two more than the average bear, and some of them actually do read the book. And of those who get back to me after reading the book, they all say the same thing. You really are batshit crazy. Those of you who read Isle of Capri, you know what I'm talking about. What's my point to all this? Well, it's simple, really. In my previous life, I made many contacts. Contacts in high places who relay messages through common friends in low places. If this sounds like I'm speaking, well, typing, in riddles, it's because I am, and it's for a reason. Why, you ask? Again, if you haven't read it, go read Isle of Capri, and you'll totally get it. And you, too, will be convinced I'm batshit crazy if you're not already. Anyway, here's what all this has to do with this story. Be prepared for a validated, actual, bona fide, effective vaccine for the current issue. No later than the end of February 2021, if indeed it's not out by the time you read this book. This story was written and published in November of 2020. Keep this in mind as I read this, okay? Keep this in mind as I read this and do the math. What in the name of all things holy are you typing about now, Crazy Lake? You might be asking yourself. This. Ring. It was my cell phone. It was early on a Sunday morning in October of 2020. I'd planned to sleep in because I'd been up late the night before doing a night hunt for Bigfoot Sasquatch in the woods behind my house and making a video for it for my YouTube channel, as well as approving final edits for my most recent novella-length collection of short stories, Bigfoot Sasquatch Files Volume 5. It was a busy night, a night on which I was up well past midnight, and I was, as our friends in the UK would say, cream crackered. That means worn out in American. And I'm cream crackered right now, all our friends over there in the UK. I grabbed the phone and looked at the number calling. I sat straight up in bed, instantly wide awake, and I answered before it had a chance to ring a second time. The number calling was from an individual I'd never given my number to, but I guess guys like him have the ability to find you. Or anyone, anywhere. The events that took place on the Isle of Capri is proof enough of that. Yes, sir, I said. You're not going to believe this, the voice on the other side of the line said. It was the voice from a 50-year-old man who was supposed to be dead. I'm kind of having a hard time believing you're still alive, I said. Remember, he said, believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. F you, I said, but I wrote the real word in here, but I'm cleaning up for YouTube. Remember, I write grown-up books, so if you don't like bad words or adult situations, don't buy my books, okay? Why, he said. I cried for a minute when I thought you were dead. Wow, he said, a whole minute? You think you're worth more than that? I love you too, but well, we'll catch up later. I have a job for you. Do you know where I am? I asked. Yes, he said. You're sitting up in your bed in the downstairs master bedroom of your old sharecropper house out in the country just outside of Charlottesville. You're staring at the far wall, telling yourself you need to get around to painting it and the rest of the inside of your house, again, because 4 winters worth of smoke from your wood stove is taking its toll on the last paint job. Did you MFers put cameras up in my house? I asked, the feeling of panic like I'd not felt in years instantly returning. No, he said, laughing. I'm just effing with you. He was laughing so hard it took him a hot second to be able to speak again. Lucky guess, but look. F you, I said, now feeling my heart rate coming back down. Okay, we're done with the FUs. You need to listen. I have a job for you. But yes, we know exactly where you live and how you live. How? I asked, now looking around for pinhole-sized cameras, lenses in the corners of my room. You broadcast your life on YouTube, he said. Oh, I said, feeling myself disarming again. Look, he said, we need you to go back to the lair. What lair? I asked. The lair of Bigfoot Sasquatch, you dumb effer, he said. Are you serious? I asked. It's either there or the Isle of Capri, he said. Take your pick. What do you, I began, but then I thought better of it and reworded my question. What do they need me for now? It's just a buzzard, but there was a blue heron that lives in our pond that flew away just before that, but you missed it. I missed it. I didn't get it in time. Sorry. It was a beautiful bird. For those of you who are new, I apologize for my ADD. Actually, I don't. That's just what happens, but I am very unapologetic about it. All right. So the lair of Bigfoot, it's either there or the Isle of Capri. Take your pick. What do you, I began, or rather, what do they want from me now? DNA, he said, short and sweet, with no further explanation. And I'd worked with him enough in the past to know that he would give no further explanation, so there was no need to press. And I didn't blame him. Guys who work in his capacity have a tendency to be disappeared for giving too much information. And frankly, guys like me who performed certain odd jobs in the past, like the odd jobs I was performing leading up to and even during my time spent on the Isle of Capri, had a tendency to be disappeared for knowing too much too. Yeah, I got to make sure you can see in the woods back there. If y'all haven't read Isle of Capri, you got to go read it. Yep, that's what I was trying to get the camera on right there. Keep your eyes on it. Maybe I'll go a little bit further. Watch that sucker. All right. All right, keep your eyes there. Why me, I asked. I thought I was done. I thought that was part of the deal. I worked for your guys once, and I get to come home and live happily ever after and all that bad word. We got their man in office. We set up their puppet government. We eliminated the threat from those networks, these effing know-it-all, pampered smartest a-holes in the room, and Americans over here have never even heard about, because we never allowed them and their actions to reach the scale of making mainstream news, where all the smartest a-holes in the room garner all their information, by the way. A little bitter or just a lot, he asked. Let me know when you're done. If you'd like to persist, I can have my assistant run out and pick up some cheese to go along with your wine. F you, I said. We're done with that, he said. Remember? What's in it for me, I asked. You get to keep living your happily ever after, he said. And if I don't, I asked, already knowing the answer. They're going to take it all away, he said. Remember what the large print giveth, the fine print taketh away. And I knew there was no need to argue my case. Trust me, the people he contracted for had a way of not just disappearing people, but destroying people in such a way that makes them wish they disappeared. And it was the promises that they didn't renege on that always amazed me. Tell me what I need to do, I said, swinging my feet over the side of the bed, rising and then heading into the kitchen to start the coffee while my informant gave me the mission. When I've got stuff to do. I have a tendency to get it done, like now, not later. Hence, only an hour after having my coffee and breakfast, I was off to go hiking through the woods behind my house, the potential lair of the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch being my final intended destination. I told my beautiful bride dearly, also known as Giggly Girl on our YouTube channel, that I was burned out on running and cycling, and so my morning exercise was going to be hiking. "You are going to the lair to make it to a YouTube video?" she asked in her ever cute and ever broken English. "Something like that," I said. "Oh," she said, "was that?" She trailed off. "Yeah," I said. "I thought he was dead," she said. "Guess not," I said, lacing up my hiking boots. "I wish he dead," she said. "That's not nice," I said. "He not nice," she said. "It's not his job to be nice," I said. "It's his job to get crap done so the world keeps spinning and the protected can remain protected and bitch and complain about it the whole time because they have no effing clue how protected they are." It's the most facts in this book, brah. Those who served know. Okay? "You go," she said. "Just don't bring any of that crap back with you." But that crap, she meant, or by that crap, she meant anything paranormal, supernatural, or cryptozoological in nature. But little did she know, crap is exactly what I planned on bringing back with me. I had to. It was the mission. Crap, and I'm changing the word here from the better version, contained DNA. And yes, I could have gone after saliva or hair or even blood, which could have ended badly for me, but I'd made it my little personal prank on humanity to go after crap. You see, I've been a man brat / smartass bastard since the days of the Old Testament, my friends. 2 hours and a roughly 5-mile hike later, I'd reached my destination. I was potentially in the middle of the lair that may or may not have belonged to Bigfoot Sasquatch. "Son of our Lord," I said to myself, half a complaint rooted in a complete loss of knowing what not to do, and half in the form of an actual prayer. What do I do now? No answer came to me, but I figured I'd just get to doing what I'd come to do. I slipped off my backpack, which is my old Army assault pack from Iraq, and I took out the pair of purple latex gloves I'd brought with me and slipped them on. I took out half a dozen plastic grocery store bags I brought with me, which, by the way, are of the devil. They are pure evil. They are responsible for so much pollution and death of wildlife around the world, and I do mean around the world. I have seen plastic bags from Food Lion, a major grocery store chain in the southern U.S., blowing around in the wind all over the world. I have seen these plastic bags blowing through the Arabian Desert in Iraq. I have seen them blowing along the beaches and through the jungles of Southeast Asia. Yes, actual plastic bags from Food Lion in the southern U.S. I guess they caught some really intense upward heat drafts, whatever, and I began searching. Listen, man, that was my diatribe on I hate plastic bags, but I finally started looking for feces on the forest floor. Bigfoot Sasquatch feces. "This is deer crap," I said aloud, finding my first pile of droppings. At first, I had no intentions of bagging up this deer crap and turning it into my superior. God, I hate referring to that a-hole as my superior. But I figured that if I went back empty-handed, I'd be accused of not having tried hard enough, so bag it up I did. I continued walking around slowly, and in pretty short order, I managed to bag up more deer crap, some raccoon crap, some groundhog crap, and finally, after searching for nearly an hour, I found a big steaming pile of bear crap. Now, it was pretty easy for an experienced woodsman like me. Yes, I'm an experienced woodsman, even though so many vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges accuse me of being a city boy on our YouTube channel. Only times I was in cities was to, whatever. I hope you appreciate how safe you are, despite the fact you'll never appreciate what certain people did to make sure you're safe. All right? To be able to tell that this was only bear crap, okay. But I'd be able to use the excuse that it was so fresh that I couldn't tell, and that would get me a pass, at least long enough to get a second chance to come back. Next, after having awakened early by the phone call after a late night and hiking for hours and searching for crap literally for hours, I sat down, my back against a large red oak tree, and I fell asleep. I don't know how long I slept, but when I woke, I was ravishingly hungry. I immediately thought of the Twinkies I'd brought in my assault pack. Realizing I was probably a good quarter-mile away from my pack, I immediately got up and began walking back to my pack, making sure to take my bags of crap with me. I hurried the pace because I was really, really hungry. Yes, I know that's redundant, and it's intentional because I want to really make the point about how hungry I was, and I really, really loved Twinkies. Alas, as I got to within sight of my assault pack, only 50 yards away through the forest, I saw a scene that was heartbreaking. A large, dark figure was opening my assault pack, and I knew it was going to take my Twinkies. "You effing bear!" I yelled, assuming that the thief was the black bear that had recently deposited the huge, steaming pile of crap I now held in the bag in my left hand. "Leave my Twinkies alone, you effing F!" I began running at the thief. Now, I'm editing out bad words here. You know, in the book it says something different. I began running at the thief, knowing that black bears are relatively docile creatures and that they, like all wild animals, except wild hogs, which fortunately are only found considerably south of where I live, fear humans more than anything. Isn't that a beautiful sunset back there? Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it? Watch that. This video is worth watching just to watch this sunset back here in the forest over the Blue Ridge Mountains, Virginia. Isn't that gorgeous? Especially after UVA won big, you know? We don't care how Tech did. Once I'd cut the distance between myself and my assault pack and the large hairy thief in half, I stopped in my tracks. I nearly deposited my own steaming pile of that which I was carrying in my plastic Food Lion grocery bags, because what stood before me on 2 legs, not 4, was no black bear. It was potentially Bigfoot Sasquatch. "Oh, crap," I said. The creature let out a mighty roar. Then, while holding my now open assault pack with one hand, it jammed its other hand inside it and pulled out, not my Twinkies, but, wait for it, a spicy Italian sub on flatbread from Subway that I'd bought and forgotten to eat more than a month before. It had been in one of the different pouches of my assault pack that I'd not checked before leaving for my hike because I'd been in such a hurry. I mean, I was doing the job as a subcontractor for a guy who was doing his job as a subcontractor for a group of people who are not known for their patience. So I simply hadn't taken the time to check all the pouches, even though I could smell quite a stench. A stench like that made by rotten meat. "Arg," the creature yelled again, like a big hairy pirate. And if I were to translate that "arg," what it meant, I mean, with my morning phone conversation still fresh in my mind, I would have reason to believe that "arg" meant F you. The beast crammed the entire sub of rotten meat and wilted vegetables into his, her, or its mouth, wrapper and all, and gave me a hard stare that I would equally translate into F you. And then it dropped my assault pack and then turned and ran over the mountainside with such speed it was gone instantly. I hurried to my assault pack, and fortunately my Twinkies, all of them, were still in it. I took the Twinkies out of my assault pack and I ate them. And I became full of the Twinkies that were in my assault pack. And I was pleased by the feeling of being filled of the Twinkies that had been in my assault pack. All was good with the world. "Crap," I said, walking back down the mountain after having finished my Twinkies. "Now what?" Again, it was part complaint and part prayer. But this time, the answer came to me in the way of a moan emanating from the middle of a laurel thicket about 100 yards to my right. I stopped, and I listened, and I was pleased. Bigfoot Sasquatch had eaten a rotten Italian sub from Subway. Bigfoot Sasquatch had a terrible stomach ache as a result of a mild case of food poisoning. Bigfoot Sasquatch had the craps. My job had just become simple. All I had to do was wait, and wait was all I did. I hunkered down beside a large poplar tree, and I was conveniently hidden behind my own thicket of laurel, and it was all I could do to not laugh my butt off while listening to the large bipedal beast crapping his, her, or its guts out only 100 yards away. I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean, taking pleasure in his, her, or its pain, but karma is real. You steal a man's food, you get a case of the craps, right? And besides, the creature could have been lucky enough to have opened the other pocket on my assault pack and stolen my Twinkies. Then where would I be? Would I have eaten the spoiled sub? Would I be the one with the craps now? I mean, am I batch crap crazy? Maybe. Anyway, after a quarter of an hour or so, the beast seemed to be finished, and I knew that out here in the wild there was no paperwork to do. So once it, or him or her, crept further down the hill after making its deposit, I waited another 15 minutes or so to make sure it was gone, and then I went to the laurel thicket where it, or him or her, had made its extremely large deposit. I'd hit the mother lode. Knowing this was exactly what I'd come for, I dumped out all the other crap I'd already collected: deer crap, raccoon crap, bear crap, and I'd even found what I thought was bat crap, and I almost kept that as a souvenir, because I'm told that, that's the type of crazy I am. But no, I needed all the room in my plastic bags I could get, so I dumped out the bat crap too. Once my bags were all crap free, I reloaded them, this time with nothing but crap from him, her, it, or, well, there was only one, so there was no they. And then I headed off the mountain, considering this yet another successful mission. I felt elated because I'd not actually performed any type of missions for these guys since leaving Mindanao more than 5 years ago. Even though I hated the bastards, familiar territory felt good. Here's what I can tell you about the outcome of my mission. I left the package where I was instructed to leave it, and where I'm sure it was picked up the second I was out of sight. Like all my missions, I'm never told the exact specifics or, like I discussed earlier, any specifics, but I always have my hypothesis. And here's my hypothesis in regard to this mission. I know this mission was carried out during the peak days of the current situation. Further, I know that the amount of DNA similarities that we share with him, her, it, or they are so close it would terrify most people, especially all those know-it-all smartest a-holes in the room who believe these creatures don't exist. Anyway, because, well, mainstream media has never confirmed their existence, and that's where they garner all their information. Further, I have reason to believe that there are no such things as new viruses. I believe that everything is cyclical. I believe that this current thing has visited us before. However, it did so during the days before we were nearly as advanced as we are today. And I don't mean only in regard to science and medicine. I mean in regard to record keeping as well. I believe this thing and many others visited us thousands of years ago, and I do believe that it wiped out large populations. However, I also believe that large populations developed herd immunity to these things, and I believe that the Bigfoot Sasquatch population happened to be one of those populations. And I believe the people who subcontracted me for this mission through a subcontractor knew this, hence the mission. So, like I said, look for the miracle, vaccine within 90 days of the publishing of this story, unless, like I also said, it's here already before this story even has time to be published. And I think this story was published the day of the announcement or whatever. Oh, and I got word a couple days after completing this mission that my contact died in a single vehicular accident. Again. I'm sure I'll hear from him again as soon as they want something from me again. Oh, and know that when you receive your vaccine for this stuff, should you choose to, or, should we all be forced to, wait for it, you're potentially being shot up with a big old steaming dose of Bigfoot Sasquatch crap. The end. Hope you enjoyed the story. I'm going to go down and wait for this sun to finish. Well, the sun's down. And wasn't that beautiful? You got to see it go down here. But I'm going to wait until dark and I'm going to bed. I am worn out. So thanks for being here for, I guess, a longer video. I hope you enjoyed the story. You can get your print copy with an autograph from Etsy. Links in the description box below. Get the bookmark with it. If you buy it, I'll come up with the effort to go upstairs and get the bookmark. I won't send you a magnet. See you for more next time.